Hey, this is Matt once again. What about the other videos? Another paid request, this time for Efree. Thank you so much, man. And for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, comments, or have you, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. Also in the info box will be links to my second channel on YouTube in case anything happens. You do feel free to subscribe to that. Also my Odysee channel, which has a lot of these videos backed up on there. You can always follow me on there. Now, the topic at hand is Rambo 4 versus Rambo 5. Rambo 2008 versus Rambo Last Blood. Now, the quick answer is easily Rambo 4 is better. Top, down, and center. Every day of the week and twice on Tuesday. Both films, Sylvester Stallone, you think it's going to be the end of it. The final curtain call for Rambo. One did it exceptionally well, despite a hiccup here and there. The other did not. I'm a big Rambo fan. I'm a big Sylvester Stallone fan. We got Cobra right there in the background. I love the 4 Rambo films. As a kid, I grew up with the Rambo trilogy, the second one being my favorite. It's one of those things where I'm sitting there going, I'm a bit worried because it's been so long since the Rambo film came out, but a lot of people hated Rambo 3, but I love the film. I think it's very underrated. And then I saw Rambo in 2008. I remember seeing the trailer to the film, like the Ain't No Cool News. Remember Ain't No Cool News used to be a big deal? I mean, it's still around. The website's still around. But name the last time anyone ever mentioned Ain't No Cool News. Like, people don't realize how that website used to be the biggest website on the internet. The place to go to for movie news. But now that so many people do that, and Harry knows stuff people found out about him being very sketchy. Again, the website is still around, but no one visits that website anymore. But they had like a 3-minute rough trailer. I'm like, wow, it's violent, it's gory, it's using music from Land of the Dead, which kind of fit with the horror type scenes in it. Cutting heads off, ripping throats out. What the hell? Like, Rambo was never this gory. I love it. Yeah. And it was such a satisfying experience. But not just for that. It's for many other reasons. Rambo 2008 is a great finale, great final curtain call for the character. Because we see him in an interesting point of his life. Where he's like, fuck the world. We see him in a place where there's just vile humanity being done in, with people going through mines and getting blown up. But it's also something that's under the radar, because at that time, people didn't talk about Burma. People didn't mention Burma. People couldn't find Burma on a map. So it shed a little bit of light to issues that were going on, but also formed into this entertainment package. And from the get-go, you're with Rambo, and you understand his turmoil, and he's very cynical, and he thinks the world is a vile place, and there's no hope. And he sees a bit of hope in this missionary, and the way Sylvester Stallone directed the film, the way the movie went at a very quick pace, the way Brian Tyler really came in full force with the music, where he does an ode to Jerry Goldsmith, but he puts his own stamp on it, to where it was shot, I forget where exactly it was shot, but the nice location bits they have in there, to just how unflinching the bad guys are. I mean, from stabbing kids and throwing them in the fires, you're like, Jesus Christ. You really hate these bad guys. And Rambo not doing stupid things. Rambo not doing dumb things. Rambo looked like Rambo with the long hair and Rambo was always a guy that was a man of few words. That was one of the parts of First Blood, the original cut, a longer cut. One of the things Stallone said, I forget if it was in the script form or edit form. He's like, no, let my character talk as little as possible. Let his mannerisms, his action do the talking for him. And that's what makes Rambo different from other characters of Stallone, is that intensity. He doesn't need to talk. These will do the talking. You know, this will do the talking. This will do the talking. You know, that will do the talking. And the way it developed, establishing who the missionaries are, establishing how hardcore Rambo is, pulling the gun, and just, this is a guy that could take on this vile world. This is the way it needs to be done in this world. Him dealing with the other mercenaries. And the way the mercenaries have their own little colorful maybe personalities among them. And I like the idea of them not knowing who Rambo is. He's just a boatman, who he is. But we know who he is. Like, we know he's the dragon. He's the man. He's the teen among these group. They just don't know it yet until they get the rude awakening. Rambo throwing bow and arrows. And you get great lines of dialogue. Live for nothing, or die for something. Your call. Or, war's in your blood. When you're pushed, killing's as easy as breathing. So when he talks, it means something. And you get memorable lines like that. And yes, some hiccups of CGI, like the explosion, you know, it's not the best CGI, but on the flip side, you get some really hardcore blood, and, you know, the whole finale with the 50 caliber, that was, I saw in the theater, that was the most exhilarating endings I've ever seen in the theater. And people go, oh, wow, and it just kept going and going, and it's like, damn, like, this guy turned to chunked meat, this guy got his head cut off, this guy, you know, got blasted in half. The body count is insane. He kills like 100 people. I don't know how many, but it could be close. Like, there's a whole truck of people. I'm like, oh shit. And then, with all that said, as a story, it's a full circle. There's a point to it. He realizes there's something more to live for. He helps some of these missionaries, save them. He did make a difference. Maybe it's not all for naught. And he goes home. And it's a great bookend. The way First Blood began. There's a long road. Well, actually, that song's at the end credits. But you know what I mean. It's a long road. He's fighting for a place to go. By the end of Rambo 4, he's found a place to go. He's looking for a place. Now he's found a place. He's gone home. He's gone home. That was a great bookend. It is a full circle. There was no more left of the story. Rambo Last Blood, on the other hand, was a lame, pointless addendum. It was a useless... Like, the stories ended, and I don't know, was this meant to be like the epilogue? It was meant as a paycheck and a cash grab. Sylvester Stallone saw that his films were going straight to video. You know, he was doing the Steve Plane 2s and Steve Plane 3s. He doing poorly performed movies like Grudge Match. He said, I need to bring back characters. Hey, I got to be part of the Creed films. And they're being successful, so I'll bring back Rambo. And call it Last Blood. But, I mean, the fourth film sure would call Rambo Last Blood. This, he doesn't look like Rambo. He cuts off the long hair. He doesn't act like Rambo. He's the most talkative of all the four films. At times he won't shut up. He talks more in this film than he does in the first 4 films combined. I don't think that's an exaggeration. I'm like, did Stallone forget that Rambo was a man of few words? It was meant to imply that he's more talkative because his niece, or whoever, I keep saying niece, when I talk about this film, but this person who he looks at his family, which the only development we have is pictures on a wall. I'm sorry, that's not enough. To tell this story of 10 or so year span by just random pictures, I'm sorry, that's not enough, man. To me, to go, I care about this girl. Because I don't care about the girl. I don't care about her plight. You give me no reason to root for her. It's trying with, she was abandoned, she wants to find her dad. Rambo warns her, she doesn't listen. So it just makes the audience aggravated against the girl. Rambo has, I guess, within the 10 years on this farm, we never see Rambo's dad. Which that's a missed opportunity to get like a good established actor, like a Clint Eastwood or someone. Like, yeah, I could buy him as Rambo's dad. No, I guess we never get to see the R Rambo that was on the mailbox. At the end of part 4. He's dug out like miles of tunnels. I don't know where he got the money to do that. Well, he did it himself. I mean, I guess within 10 years, sure, but it's hard to picture, like, the massive tunnels and massive traps, and there's a part of you that would wonder why he would do that, because if the whole point of part 4 is he went home because the war is over, in his mind the war is over, but now, no, it's not over. Now he's having PTSD flashes. I'm like, I thought the whole point of part 4 was that the war was over. He made a bit of peace. He got his demons out by saving the missionaries. That's why he went home in the first place. That's why he went home in the first place. Now, nah, he still got it. And he dug like, 8 miles of tunnels and all these traps because, I don't know, did he find a cave with a gold bullion? Did he find the legend of Curly's gold? Where did he get all this money? I don't know. Would he even have a pension fund? Like, how the hell? I don't know. The score just felt like it was reused regurgitation of the score in part 4. I can't think of anything new brought to the table. The use of, was it the Doors or whatever music, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. Because I never thought of Rambo as a big music lover. Listen to the Doors. I think it was the Doors. That's the thing, like, this doesn't seem like Rambo. It seems like another character. If he did a couple twists, it could be Marion Cobretti or any other character. Because he doesn't look like him, he doesn't act like him. Like I said, he's more talkative than Rambo usually is. He doesn't... And the story with the Mexican drug cartel, like, Burma seemed more unique because Burma is a place that wasn't utilized much. Here, the Mexican drug cartel, I mean, hell, Arnold did that with Sabotage. There's other movies that have dealt with that. Sicario. It doesn't feel as unique. And on top of that, I don't think the movie does a good job establishing the, I'll just say niece, for the sake of argument, of Rambo. However you want to call it. The girl he thinks of as a daughter. She does really stupid things. And then Stallone comes in. And he does something Rambo would never do. Rambo would never walk in and be like... Think of all the other Rambo films. Rambo would look and study the environment. Imagine Rambo 2. He just walked into the village. Where are the POWs? Imagine if in Rambo 3 he just walked to the compound. Where's Troutman? He would never do that. He would survey the area, look, study, hide. What do you think he was doing in First Blood? In the trees, in the forest, hiding among, using shrub and greenery to hide, blend to the environment, eat things that make the belly go puke. None of that is put into this. None of that. He just goes in. What did he expect to do? Where is she? He gets his ass kicked. They found out who the girl is, and they pretty much brutalize her more. So then Rambo, okay, he does a thing with the hammer, whatever. I didn't care, honestly. People talk about the net thing, whatever. Because I'm not invested in the story. I don't know who this person is, but he doesn't. It's not Rambo. Crambo, Dambo, Jambo, Jimbo, Jumbo, where the hell his name is. And she dies. He gets pissed. Pretty much gives him a warning. Cuts the head off. Come get me. Seems like you get really easy. I've heard it's very tough to get across the border. They make it look easy. There's just this one fence, and you just drive over it. Wow, they make it seem like going to McDonald's easy getting to the border and over the border. Again, I've had a tougher time going to McDonald's than they have getting back and forth across the border. There've been tougher trips to McDonald's. It's just when you compare the two movies, this has a less interesting story with a Rambo that's not consistent with the previous films, look-wise, acting-wise, dialogue-wise. The Rambo 4 has dialogue you remember that you should quote. What can you quote in this movie? Because I can't think of it. Maybe you can, to each their own. I certainly can't. And then, when you get to the finale, there's some fun bits of action for like 5 minutes in the tunnels, where he's like Jigsaw. These gory traps. But I think about, was Rambo really a... Well, I guess in First Blood he had traps, to be fair. In First Blood he did. But that 5 minutes of action... Well, it's more than 5 minutes, to be fair. It's more than 5 minutes. Let's say 10. I'm talking about the actual killing. I'm not talking about the build-up, get into the tunnel. I'm not talking about the ending where he's running, there's the explosion. I'm talking about the actual taking these guys out. That's not... I'm sorry, that's not enough for me. There's other elements of Rambo 4 I love than just the ending. The ending was just the great exclamation point. Here, if that's the case, you could skip the entire movie and just watch that ending on YouTube. In Rambo 4, there's a meaning for me watching the first hour of that movie. The nicely done dream, nightmare flashback to the other Rambo films and having Richard Crenna in there. Seeing Rambo's demeanor and where his character's point of view as. Seeing how horrific the Burma army is and their tactics. The mercenaries and how they interact with each other. Not the case in this. For the first hour, a reporter that I could barely remember her name, Rambo doing stupid stuff, the girl dying, him being pissed. I guess some would say the hammer scene or the next, whatever the hell, the shoulder, whatever, the collar. Okay. But Rambo 5 just seems like just skip to those 10 minutes in the tunnels. That doesn't make a good movie. Maybe you think that's a fun scene, and I can understand that. Even though Rambo still does stuff, I get it, he's filled with rage, but like there's dead bodies and he's wasting all this ammo. which is essential ammo because later on he has no ammo and then he gets wounded. I'm like, you know what? If you didn't waste your 40 bullets on these two dead bodies that were clearly dead, maybe you would not have been wounded and, you know, but I guess his point is that he doesn't care anymore, whatever. And then he does a Kano ripping the heart out, which, I don't know, just seemed a bit over the top. I mean, Mortal Kombat, like the way in Rambo 4 is like, you know, guts the guy and then kicks him. But just the, I don't know. Maybe if the movie was done better and more, I would care. Like, oh, cool, but I don't know, just finish him. Which is funny because Rambo later would be in Mortal Kombat. I was surprised they didn't put this in one of his finishing moves in the Mortal Kombat game. And then the way it ends is just, you think he's dead, but he's not, and he rides off, and where he rides off to, we don't know. See, at least in Rambo 4, the ending was a happy ending. He's going to settle on the farm. Now we don't know. Are the cops going to go after him? Is he going to be on the run? Is he just going to go to another town? Well, I think there's going to be a lot of cops that find, you know, these, you know, all these dead bodies. They don't want to talk to him. Is he going to be on the run, in jail? It doesn't leave the character on a happy note. He's alive, but it doesn't leave him on a happy note. And I don't see how that's a great final curtain call for the character. And the fourth one, he went home. They just ruined that. And then they do this, here's show you still pictures of each of these films. Which seem like, I don't know, almost random. It was one last final bid for Stallone to get some money out of the Rambo franchise. And I don't even know if this film made that much money. It was lousy, it was boring, it wasn't that interesting. Maybe some bits of the finale you get some fun out of it, but what's worth it for the first hour and change? The villains in Rambo 4, yeah, it's not like they delved into their personality, but because of these, just how the villains in Rambo 5 are vile as well, but if it felt more unflinching, it felt more horrific, it felt more hardcore in Rambo 4. Again, they're stabbing kids with bayonets and throw them into fires and making people play games back and forth with mines and getting blown up. It's like, ooh. Here it's, the situation is bad, but it's just the way it's viewed, the way it's shown. I don't want to say it feels tame, but it just feels not as, it feels a bit held back. It does. I don't think it has as much impact as they were hoping for. At least compared to other movies that have dealt with that same subject material. And as I said, Stallone's performance, just, he doesn't feel like Rambo. It doesn't act like Rambo. But that's just me. As someone's doing some work outside. But with that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.